today, you are going to do a heart dissection of a sheep heart. And here are the materials that you'll be using. First, you'll be using dissection pins, which look like this. And these will be used to label the right and left side of the heart as well as the structures of the heart. Then you will have a probe. This will be used to manipulate the blood vessels to see where they lead, as well as point out structures to each other. You'll be using a scalpel. This is an extremely sharp object and should be handled with care. These are surgical grade, so these are the scalpels that are used in surgery, so they're very sharp. So please do not touch your fingers on this. When you hold your scalpel, you want to hold your fingers like this and place your pointer finger on this when you do the dissection, because this will give you the best leverage to do it and also the safest way. And then you will have post-its that you'll use to make labels, as well as a writing utensil to answer the questions in the lab, as well as to write labels for your heart. So some important safety things to keep in mind is you will be using a sharp scalpel. So if you cut yourself, it's very important that you immediately tell your teacher so they can treat your injury, as well as you can wear protective clothing, like I'm wearing my lab coat. We have aprons available if you are afraid you might spill some of the preservation materials on you. And another thing to keep in mind is there's no roughhousing in this lab because we are using very sharp objects. So please be respectful and have proper lab etiquette when you are doing this dissection. Have fun! So this is what the sheep heart was going to look like. This one has already been pre-cut, but yours will be a whole, and you'll be doing the bisection cut in class. So first, the hardest thing about doing this dissection is identifying the right and left side. So the way that you do this is you're looking for a diagonal line of blood vessels that divide the heart. So if I look over this heart and I take a close look at it, it's on this side, and you can see this diagonal right here, and that's going to divide the left ventricle from the right ventricle. So you're basically, when you cut it, you're going to have a cross section, which means on one side is going to be the right and left atrium and ventricle, and the other half is going to be the right and left atrium or ventricle. So when you make your cross section, you know that this is going to be the left side, and you also can feel it because when you manipulate the heart, which you will be doing, the left ventricle feels very thick. So as you're palpating it, you'll feel this thickness. So with one of your labels, you will label it the left, and you will put this on the left ventricle, which is right here. And you can also, if you'd like, put this on the right ventricle to help you, because when you cut this open, you'll need a point of reference. So taking your scalpel, and I encourage each of you to try cutting this, and since this one's already pre-cut, it's a little easier for me to show you, but you're going to take your scalpel, just like I showed you how to hold it, and you're going to press down, and you're not going to do a sawing motion, you're just going to do a gliding motion, and you're not going to cut it through the first time. So you're going to have to cut a little bit and then open up the tissue a little bit, and then cut a little bit deeper and open up the tissue, and cut a little bit deeper and open up the tissue. So this will take a while. You're only going to cut on the side of it all the way through. And then when you're done, you're going to open that up and you will have the two sides of the heart. So here we have our point of reference. This will be the right ventricle, so this means this is the right atrium, and here's the left ventricle, so up here is the left atrium. And that's basically the bisection you'll be doing. From this point on, you will be using your reference points to help label the individual structure of the heart. You'll be using the probe to go through the vessels here and see where they lead out, so you can see the flow of blood through the heart. And once you're done with these aspects, you will be calling your teacher over to check your work to make sure you've labeled the heart correctly. One of the most important things to remember when you do the heart dissection is when you do the bisection, you're not going to have the right side of the heart in this hand and the left side of the heart in this hand. You will have both sides because it's a cross section. So keep that in mind. It might be helpful right after you do the bisection to label and match these up, knowing that this side goes with this side, so that's the right, and this side goes with this side, so together those are the left. When you are finished with the lab, there's some important cleanup tips that you need to know. When you are done with the dissection pins, the ones that you have used, don't put them back into the clean ones. You'll put them back in the designated tub that your teacher has for you. Also, you're going to wash the probe and return it back to your lab station with soap and water. And with the scalpel, just put it in the designated container that your teacher has for you. You need to wash and dry your dissecting trays, make sure with soap and water, and return them back to your lab station. Remember, your lab station always needs to look as nice and neat as it did when you got there.